Imagine a morning that begins completely normally. People are rushing to work. Children are going to school. Someone is opening a small shop. Someone is having breakfast with their family. No one knows that in just a few minutes, their city will cease to exist. No sirens, no warning, no chance to escape. And then, one flash, brighter than the sun. The temperature at the center of the explosion becomes hotter than the surface of the sun itself. People literally disappear. Human shadows remain burned into walls. The city turns into hell within seconds. And the most terrifying part, this was not a natural disaster. Humans did this. Today, we will uncover why the United States dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, what happened in the final hours before the explosions, whether this tragedy could have been avoided, and why many historians still call it the most controversial decision in human history. Because the truth is much darker than it seems. It is 1945. World War II is almost over. In Europe, Germany has already surrendered. Hitler is dead. Berlin lies in ruins. But on the other side of the world, the war continues. Japan refuses to surrender. And American generals begin to realize something terrifying. To defeat Japan, they may have to invade the Japanese mainland itself. And that could become the bloodiest operation in history. The Americans had already seen how Japan fought. Okinawa, Iwo Jima. Soldiers fought to the very last man. Many chose death instead of surrender. Kamikaze pilots crashed their planes directly into ships. Civilians committed mass suicide out of fear of occupation. American commanders were shocked. If tiny islands had already cost tens of thousands of lives, what would happen during an invasion of Japan itself? And here is the most important part. Japan was already collapsing. Its navy was nearly destroyed. Cities were burning after massive bombing raids. People were starving. Tokyo had already experienced one of the deadliest air raids in human history. In March 1945, American firebombs burned huge sections of the city. More than 100,000 people died in a single night. And this was not an atomic bomb, it was simply fire. But even after that, Japan still refused to surrender. Why? Because Japanese leaders believed that if the Americans invaded, Japan could inflict such devastating casualties that the United States would agree to peace negotiations. And that is when America decided to use something the world had never seen before. In complete secrecy, the United States launched the Manhattan Project. More than 130,000 people worked on it. Entire secret cities were built. The greatest scientists in the world tried to create a weapon that would change history forever. And on July 16, 1945, it happened. In the desert of New Mexico, the first atomic bomb exploded. Humanity entered the nuclear age. One scientist later spoke the famous words, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." They understood that humanity had created a force that could no longer be controlled. The official reason sounded simple. America wanted to end the war quickly and avoid an invasion. President Harry Truman believed the bomb would save millions of lives. But historians still debate the decision to this day. Because there is another theory. The United States also wanted to show its power to the Soviet Union. After the war, the world would be divided between two superpowers. And the atomic bomb became more than just a weapon. It became a message, a warning, a demonstration of absolute power. August 6, 1945. Hiroshima wakes up like any ordinary city. People go to work. Children head to school. No one knows that directly above them flies an American bomber called Enola Gay. On board is a bomb called Little Boy. The name sounded almost harmless. But this weapon would change the world forever. 8:15 in the morning, the bomb falls. Seconds later, a flash. A shockwave destroys buildings instantly. The temperature vaporizes human bodies. Some disappear so completely that only dark shadows remain on walls. Fire consumes the city. Thousands of people run through the streets with burned skin hanging from their bodies. Some search desperately for their children. Some scream. Some feel nothing anymore. And no one understands what has happened. Because humanity had never seen anything like this before. Then something strange begins. Black rain falls from the sky. People think it is water. They drink it, but it is radiation. Poison that cannot be seen. Those who survived the explosion begin dying days and weeks later. Their hair falls out. Internal bleeding begins. Their bodies slowly collapse from the inside. Doctors do not understand how to treat it. Humanity is facing the consequences of nuclear weapons for the very first time. Even after Hiroshima, Japan still does not surrender. The government is divided. Some want peace. Others want to continue fighting. And then the United States drops a second bomb. August 9th, 1945. Nagasaki. The bomb called Fat Man. Even more powerful, even more horrifying. The city is torn apart by the explosion. Thousands die instantly. Thousands more die later from radiation sickness. After Nagasaki and after the Soviet Union enters the war against Japan, Emperor Hirohito finally makes a decision. Japan surrenders. For the first time in history, the emperor speaks directly to the people over the radio. Many citizens hear his voice for the first time ever. World War II is over, but a new era begins, the nuclear era. And this brings us to the question that still haunts humanity decades later. Did the bombs truly save millions of lives? Was Japan already ready to surrender? Could the deaths of hundreds of thousands of civilians have been avoided? Some historians say that without the bombs, an invasion would have killed far more people. Others argue that Japan had already lost, and Hiroshima and Nagasaki were primarily demonstrations of power aimed at the Soviet Union. And perhaps we will never know the full truth. Today, Hiroshima and Nagasaki are peaceful cities again. Children laugh in the streets, shops are open, trains move through the city. But beneath those streets remains the memory of the day. Humanity realized something terrifying. It had gained the power to destroy itself. And the most frightening part, those weapons still exist, which means Hiroshima is not just history. It is a warning to the entire world. Subscribe if you want more stories about hidden history, war, civilizations, and the moments that changed humanity forever.